Welcome to the Sports Card Lessons Podcast. I'm your host, Big Ken. Whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on a streaming service, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. You'll be notified whenever I drop any new content. Welcome. Thanks for being here. Happy Sunday. Well, happy Super Bowl Sunday. Come on, man. Woo. Finally here. Today has arrived, right? when I say we, when I started this journey late August, beginning September, really late August when you start drafting for fantasy teams. And unless you're playing in a dynasty league where your draft is after the actual NFL draft. But at this point of the season, that point of the season when you start drafting for fantasy and getting ready. I mean, this day, Super Bowl Sunday, feels so far away, weeks and weeks away, right? I mean, it just you can't even imagine it's going to get here, and then it's here today. Excited, it's here. Super excited that my team is playing today, right? There's only two teams that make it, and I know there's a lot of people who are hating on the Chiefs right now, but I'm still excited they're there, and I'm going to be there rooting for them and hoping for the best today. But on the other hand, tonight, 9:30, 10 o'clock, that's it. The season comes to an end. It's all over, right? We've been debating for 2 weeks, Chiefs, Eagles, right? We were debating for 4 or 5 weeks with the playoffs and who's getting advantages with the refs and who deserves to be there. And I mean, all these debating, it's all done, right? It's all over. After tonight, game ends, the season's over, and we start worrying and debating about other things. So it's kind of a letdown, right? It's kind of a letdown if you're as big a football fan as I am to, spending every weekend almost every week dedicated during the season. We know the football season has a season, but as we know, the hobby doesn't. The hobby does not know seasons anymore. Every sport is a 12-month sport, right? For the hobby. Some months, granted, right? Some months are better than others with certain sports. But if you really think about it, I mean, the card makers have really pushed that on us. They can't get cards out during the season. Some sets, yes, mostly the low end stuff, and I think they plan that because, people are so excited to start buying football cards. They just put the lowest crap out there that they could put and people start buying it, right? And how quickly we forget about any of those sets that come before Don Russ, right? Anything that comes before Don Russ, we just forget about it. And then Don Russ becomes all the rage, and then as soon as Prism hits, we forget about everything before that. Everything else is crap, right? Before that, but at the time, it was selling at a good price, right? But as soon as the new and the next best set hits the market, everything else nosedives in prices, right? I mean, not 100% everything, but mostly everything. With football, Prism, just released now at the end of the season, and it was the same thing as last year, right? It's the same timing as last year that Prism comes out right before the playoffs, in the NFL, and all the higher end sets will get released after the season's over, right? Over the next few months, the higher end stuff will start dropping. But how does that work if you want to be first to the market with cards, right? We say, hey, football is going to drop off after the season ends. It's just going to drop off. But I mean, Prism just came out before the playoffs, right? We're sending, most of us who have been opening Prism and sending cards in for grading, most of those cards are at PSA right now, right? Unless you've hit something high end and you've asked for a 10 or 15 or 20 day return, right? Most of them are sitting in PSA and assembly or research and ID or something like that. So what do we do when that stuff comes back, right? Season's already over. Do we take all those cards and just throw them in the closet and say, "Geez, well, we'll wait for next year"? No, of course we don't. We can't hold these cards till the summer. I mean, we could, but I mean, this is how we've changed the hobby market, right? This is how the industry has changed it. Let's just release cards after the season and people will still keep buying and selling this stuff. And it's true, we do. I mean, we don't say, geez, the season's over. I'm done. I'm not going to buy any more football cards till next year. No, it's every time something comes out. I mean, we're right there in line. We're in the breaks. We're buying it. We're online buying it. Um, and we continue sending those cards off for grading, right? I say PSA, but we've all got our own who we want to grade through. I certainly don't want to push that on anybody. I am a PSA guy, and some people, hate PSA. I hate PSA, but I just understand the value when it comes time to resell the cards. So I keep sending my cards there. But there's a lot of difference in value of these cards in February, March, April, May, and even June, right? In previous years, prices would ramp up in June, right? With football, people would start getting excited and starting saying, "Hey, you know what? The national is just 2 months away, and football is starting to." So everybody's starting to run out. Which quarterback, which rookie, which this, which that, right? And it's mostly the rookie stuff that starts ramping up because people want to prospect on the newest stuff. But last year in June, those prices did not ramp up like the previous 2 years, and I can tell you that from experience. If you've been here, if you've been along for this journey with me, you know, you know right? My plan every year is to start buying December, January, February, March, right? Buying up the football because it's down. Uh, and then start moving it June, July, August. But this past year, the 2 years prior to this past one, I did very well doing that. But this past year was just something different. Everything just hit different about this last year. Um, And I'm not just talking rookies. I was doing this on a number of, mostly, and if you could go back and look, a lot of those, when I shouldn't say not rookies, but not brand new rookies, right? So I was buying the Burrow rookies and the Herbert rookies and the Mahomes rookie. Like I was buying decent cards there, getting them at a good price, holding them, moving them. And even last year, that market never really kicked. It never really jumped up like it had the previous couple of years. Even though those cards had come down, they never really got back to that level that was profitable enough to hold those cards for that long, right? So going into this year, I say to myself, what do we do a little different? Right. Last year we had tunnel vision. I, I had I say we. I'm going to say I. I think most of the hobby in the hobby market had tunnel vision for CJ Stroud cards. Um, I bought, graded, and sold, right? The Stroud, the Downtown, the Kaboom, and at least 8 silver prisms, right? The prisms were all 10s. The Kaboom and the Downtown, those were 9s, right? But it's just interesting that if I go back and look at those prices and I know what I bought those cards for, I graded them myself and I sold them. I put them right out on the market and I moved them. Um, the difference in price is amazing right now. Before I went on, I started recording, I went and looked them up. So the Downtown, the Stroud, these are all his rookies, the PSA 9 Downtown, is selling for about $900, right? And I know um, I bought the raw of that for less than that, and I moved that card a little over 1,400, right? And to see that it's selling at 900 now, what a difference in price! The Kaboom, the PSA 9, is selling for $1,000 right now. I know I moved that Kaboom um, last spring at Fenway Park. I moved that Kaboom for $2,400, selling for around $1,000 right now. And the silver prisms, unbelievable that they're selling at around $400 right now. I was selling them in the 1050 to 1150 range. So it was lessons learned for me over 3, 4, 5 years, because I would have been holding those cards. I would have been the guy saying, no, look where the price is. I'm going to hold these cards because they're going to go up even higher. When they double up in price, that's when I'm going to sell, just and standing there shaking my head every time saying, why are all these cards dropping in price? Like, I got to bail. I got to get out of this card as fast as I can because it's dropping like a rock, right? Uh, lessons learned, over the few years I've been doing this. And I can tell you from all these years of experience, those prices continue to drop. No matter what you think, those prices continue to drop. It, I can tell you prospecting, even if you start prospecting, even if you hit the right player, because we don't know. I was prospecting Desmond Ritter a few years ago, right? Sold all his stuff. What he and I mean, they had such high hopes for this guy, right? And what happened? So you can hit the wrong player a lot more than you can hit the right player. But even if you hit the right player and you hold that card for too long, you're probably going to lose. You're probably going to lose money on that card because the value is going to drop down. You hear me talking a lot about being first to market with a card. And especially if I'm grading, that's where the maximum profitability is going to come in. If I'm ripping that card or I'm getting it out of a break or wherever I'm getting it from, and I'm sending it right off to PSA and it's coming back, right? And I'm selling it right away, that my maximum profitability is right there. Now, there may be a couple cards that I would say 10 years from now, maybe, who knows, 5, 8 years from now, I say, oh, I had that card as a rookie and I sold it. But I don't think any of these cards, I don't think a Don Russ card is going to be a card I'm going to say 5 years from now, geez, I had that card, I should have never sold it, right? And I can give you, for instance, the Don Russ Jaded Daniels, right? The PSA 10s. I got 3 of those back from PSA right before I went to Atlanta to Culture Collision. I sold all 3 of those cards at Culture Collision, $240. And I thought about holding one. I sold 2 and I pulled one out of the case and I really thought about it. And I said, you know what? I walked around this room and so many people had that same card in their case and they were asking, and they had sticker prices on it at $280, $300, right? And I thought to myself, there's no way they're going to get that on those cards. And those prices are going to start coming down because there's so many of those cards in the room. So I stickered mine a little less. Hey, you know what? I graded that card. So no one's going to make any more on that card than I did, right? Sold all 3. I put that third one. I said, you know what? It's going back in the case. Somebody came by within 10 minutes, sold it off to them. And right now, I just looked before coming on. Those cards are selling 165 to 175. Right. So that first to market jump up there, that's where the maximum profitability is to me on these cards. And you could hold the cards and you're going to have and that is your lane. You got every reason to do that. But for me, I have a list of bad decisions. A list of players that I made bad decisions on that I held too long, or I thought that the value was going to go up. So, first to market, move them right out. I mean and again, I I don't think anyone's going to regret selling a Don Ross rookie, right? you know, for decent profit, fresh back from PSA. Um, And the more that come back now that people have graded, sent off for grading, the more of those that come back, PSA 10, the lower that value is just going to continue to drop on that card. And it's amazing that you can still go online and in some of your local Target stores and still be able to buy Donruss blasters. That literally blows my mind. In years past, you had about a 2-week window when those dropped to find them in a retail store, to find them online, to get up. I can remember getting up at 6:30, setting my alarm, and getting up at like 6:30 on a Wednesday morning and waiting on the Target website for them to drop so I could buy them, right? Because that was it. If not, you had to buy secondary market. You were paying a premium on it, or through marketplace, or go off to a show, and you knew they were selling for $23 or $22, whatever, but they were selling them for 30 aftermarket, 30 or 35, right? So you're paying a premium to buy them. Now they're still for sale. You could still buy them. You don't even need to go to a secondary market. You just jump on your computer. You can still buy them. Even the Prism, when it was the same thing. A couple weeks, that was it, and you could never find those retail. Never, not around here, anyways. They would dry up quickly too. This week, I went to my local Target store, and the shelves were full of Prism Megas and Prism Blasters. Just full. I mean, there was probably 40 or 50 blasters on the shelves and probably 20 or so Megas. Weeks after that release. And I think just about every retail store has them in stock online, right? You can go to Target or Walmart or so from a business point of view, when my orders come back from PSA, they are all for sale. I don't care if it's December, January, February, March. Maximum profitability for me, if I'm grading them, I'd be the first one to sell them, because after that, everybody's basing it off a comp somewhere else, right? And if they're buying it from me, they're buying it at a comp of the actual, what the actual comparable sales are on it. And with the amount of product out there, if you don't get first to market, it's just going to continue to drop. It's going to continue to decline in price. The more people open boxes, the more people send these cards off to PSA, the prices, the more that come back tens, right? The prices are just going to continue to drop. The only thing, and hear me out on this, the only thing that can make a difference on these cards, especially the Prism, not so much the Donruss, because we have a pretty good sample size right now of the Donruss, but the Prism, is if the gem rate is so low because the quality control on the cards was so bad that the PSA 10s may become more rare, right? And more scarce. So that would be the only difference. But the only time is going to tell over the next month or 2 months, as everybody's sending these cards in for grading, what the pop counts look like when they come back. That would be the only reason that would make me think, maybe I should hold on to this for a little bit, because if the gem rate is so low, this value could be climbing up, especially as we get into June, July, and August. So that's something we're just going to have to keep an eye on. I have not checked recently the pop rate on the Jaden Daniels, and now that I'm thinking about it, as I'm doing this episode, I'm going to check when I'm done, because I have 2 of the red Pandora. They were the Costco boxes, right? The red Pandora. I have 2 of those that gemmed. I have Jaden Daniels, 2 PSA 10s, and 2 JJ McCarthy's PSA 10s of those. And on both of those, I just put those away, because at the time I looked, which was, maybe late November or so, the gem rate was low 400s on that car. And then I looked again, and it still didn't get over 500, I think, when I looked in December. So it's probably a little over 500 right now. It could be astronomical, and I could be like I'd made a mistake on that card too. Absolutely could be. Now that I'm thinking about it, but I put those cards aside because I just felt like the pop count on those getting tens was low at the time. And I thought to myself, I'm going to hold this because those boxes, those Costco boxes, sold out very quickly and they didn't re-show back up again. So I have a feeling the run rate, how the production rate on those, how many, I think they were limited boxes. I don't think they made as many of those um, as they made of all the other boxes that they put out. So, there may be, and again, and I'm talking again on just on gem rate, there may be some value on there. Those cards may be right a little rare and scarce. I don't know. I wish I had that information right now to give you. I should have thought about that before I came up, but it's something I'm going to look into. Um, I've watched so many breaks with this Prism product of the hobby, Prism hobby, the Prism football hobby, megas, blasters, cello packs, hanger boxes. I haven't been impressed with any of them, and really disappointing. Really disappointing. The best value I see is on the cello packs, right? And maybe because it's the cheapest of all them, and you're getting the same cards out of there or similar cards that you're going to pull out of the blasters and the megas and the hanger boxes. Um, I'm going to stick to what I've been saying that if you acquire cards that you feel are going to gain in value, and if you're going to hold them, the value is probably going to drop. Even if the player becomes the star, right? I mean, because we know the players don't work out, you're even in more trouble then. uh, but if you're really you really want to prospect, and here is my advice: if you really truly believe in a player and you want to prospect on a player, I would look for autos and low numbered stuff or any numbered stuff, right? But mostly no low numbered, to 5 to 10 to 25 to 50, right? To 100 to 99, to that type of thing. Um, because I think those are the only things that are really going to hold their value over time. I think the base stuff, uh, even the Prism stuff that's not numbered, um, because of the production runs on the boxes this year and so many boxes just being available, I think even the cards we all been chasing for years in our minds, saying as we're ripping through or we're pulling through these packs, I mean, we see the silver prism coming, and we're hoping, oh, be a JJ McCarthy or Jaden Daniels or Drake May, right? That's what we're hoping for, one of those quarterbacks. And even if we do hit that, I think there's going to be so many of them out there that the value is never going to really get a chance to climb unless the gem rate is so low and you were lucky enough to get one that could gem. Um, I'm still sticking to, for me, I want to buy numbered stuff. I want to buy autograph stuff. I want to buy stuff that sets itself apart from all the other stuff in there. So circling back to my plan, over these last few years, was buying at this time and then holding to sell in June, July, and August. Um, I won't be doing a lot of that this year. And I won't be out looking for the rookies this year unless there's some reason I should be, some information like pop counts, gem rate, things like that. Although I'll probably pick up rookies during this time if the price is right. or numbered or autographed or low pop stuff. But I think I'm going to be looking more for some veteran stuff, veteran QBs like Mahomes, Burrow, Herbert, Lamar Jackson, things like that. Trying to make some moves on some cards like that could hold some solid value, down the road. I guess, the thing you have to remember with that is if you're purchasing something that's a low pop, right? A rare and scarce, even if you're doing it in December, January, February, right? You're still the new comp, right? And you always take a chance of holding that card, especially, like I said, low pop, numbered, right? Months from now, and you go to sell it, you could be competing against the comp you created, your own purchase, right? So that's kind of the downfall of that. So sometimes, and I've done that. I've got a great deal on a card. I'm like, oh my God, look at this card, numbered to 99. Oh, the last one, sold 6 months ago for make numbers up 500. I bought this thing for 300. Man, what a great deal. And then 6 months later, I go put it up for sale, and people are like, oh, the last one sold at 300. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, that's me, and especially that number stuff. They're like, oh, look, you bought it for 300, right? So you might run into that too. So, be prepared. I'm always prepared that some of the cards I buy, if I don't sell, I'm happy to continue holding for a period of time and then tell a story about it and then move it at a later time, right? I could always make content over it. But the Mahomes stuff, if you could find Mahomes stuff, low number stuff, I mean, I think that's the stuff to hang on to. And I'm almost excited because I think now, regardless of what happens tonight, I think now is the time when a lot of these Mahomes cards are going to start coming out of the woodwork. Like people have been holding them this long to say, today's the day or this week's the week, and this is the time to sell the stuff. And I really think, I'm getting ready for a show at Mohegan Sun this weekend coming up, and I have a feeling that this is going to be the weekend, and we're going to see a lot of Mahomes cards out there for sale, and probably over the next month, 6 weeks, I think we're going to see a lot of Mahomes cards. People pulling them out and saying, "Now is the time. Now is the time to move these cards." So, and for me, if the price is right, I'll jump on one and hold it. If not, I'll wait another month or two. And, one thing I found when I'm buying from my own PC, it doesn't matter when I buy it, as long as I feel the price is right. I'm happy to acquire the card, especially if it's a PC card. I could do it the day of a Super Bowl, or I could do it, 3 months from now, 6 months from now, 9. It doesn't matter. Because if you get that card, you find the card you really want, you don't mind paying a premium on a card that you're going to take and put in your PC, because it's probably a card you've been looking for, or a type of card that you've been looking for. So I'm happy to start to see those come out, and hopefully I'll be able to pick one or two up over the next month or two. So like I said, getting ready, Mohegan Sun is next weekend. If you are there, definitely come by and see me, say hello. I'll be set up there Saturday and Sunday, and be back Thursday with the fellows and the Hobby Chop episode. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. And if you like what you hear, please definitely subscribe. And most importantly, tell a friend and spread the word. Until next time, take care of yourselves and everyone around you.